Hi, I'm Angela with the Dinosaur Omelette. Today I'm just going to be doing a task, the normal task, day-to-day thing. This is a brooder box, just a makeshift compartment to keep chicks in. You can make a brooder box out of a lot of different things. People like to use tubs, storage containers. You can use things that are made of metal, wood, whatever you want to use. This is actually an old bookshelf. We laid it down and removed the shelving. And I actually have another one behind me, the same thing as an old bookshelf. I currently have silky chicks in there. So what I'm doing today is I'm preparing this brooder, refreshing it for a new batch of chicks, jumbo quail chicks. So I'm going to be cleaning all this out and making a new clean area for them. And what I like to do is put a liner on the inside just to make cleanup easier for me. People do all sorts of things, and you can look into different options that work best for you, but with my current setup, this is what I like to do. And at present I'm in a basement space, so that's why the lighting isn't as bright, but I'm going to go ahead and prepare this. So I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning this up, and then I will share some tidbits of info as I go along. I pretty much I tack the plastic lining up with a staple gun. So I'm just going to pull it off the walls right now. And I just get a trash bag of sorts. And that's that. Now, when I have my brooders set up, what I do is a deep litter system. So as the material, the bedding, gets soiled while the chicks are living in it, I put, depending on the chicks, if it's a jumbo quail chicks, I use shavings in particular. And I sprinkle new layers of fresh shavings as needed, usually maybe daily. It depends how many chicks are in here. And then I leave it in there and I just keep adding to it, which becomes a deep litter system. If I have some of my silky chicks in here, I like to use straw. It's just the absorption is different based on how the type of bird, their manure, the texture, the consistency of the manure, the bedding absorbs it differently. After I take the chicks out, that's when I clean everything up as you just saw, and there's no need to like have a headache of taking the chicks out, cleaning the bedding daily, and then putting the chicks back in. Nope, just once and done. Okay, so now I have my new liner, and really what this is it's a drum liner. Depending on the size of my brooder, I have different sizes. I use different sizes of trash bags, black ones because they're durable. This is for a 55-gallon drum, which is perfect for this size that I'm working with. I like the liner that I use to go up the sides, at least a good bit. This actually goes all the way up these sides here, but the shorter sides, it goes up a nice height. The reason why I like that is because, as you saw, it makes it easy to clean up. I can fold everything in, but also because I don't want any bedding to end up going on the between the liner and the wood. As the chicks are in there, I definitely don't want any chicks to be able to get in behind the liner and pin between the wood and the liner. So I would like everything up and high and safe. So what I do is I find the end of the trash bag that is actually the bottom, where it's sealed, which is this one. I can see the marking that it's the bottom, and then I just take some scissors and I cut the whole bottom off, and then I am going to have to open it lengthwise. I just find a crease. Okay, and now I spread it out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spread it out so it's even in the space. I'm going to get my staple gun, and I'm going to start tacking. I'm going to go ahead and tack that up. And I just tack it into several places to make sure it's nice and snug. That's my objective. Now the corners, I'm going to fold the plastic in nicely to get rid of all the excess overhang. Okay, so I am now done with the stapling. I'm going to just simply tuck in the extra excess plastic. Okay, so now the liner is in. I'm going to reposition this. Pretty much you put your heat source wherever it needs to be according to your space and the temperature in the room, and how high. So different things affect the warmth and how the area keeps warmth. These walls are short, so if I have a brooder box with higher walls, then it'll heat up faster and the heat will stay in there longer than this. The airflow transfers the heat out quicker. So I just monitor my chicks to make sure my heat source is low enough and filling the area enough for the chicks, depending on their age. So I'm going to go ahead and get my next supplies to finish up this task. So what I have now is paper towels. This right now, as it is slippery. Any kind of surface that's smooth and slick is not good for chicks because they just can't grip, and then that will cause potential issues with their legs. You want them to be able to grip the bottom of the brooder space as well as your incubator space when they're hatching, so that they can get their legs underneath them, they can stand up and strengthen their leg muscles and keep them strong. So I like using actually Bounty paper towels. My objective, really my point, is to choose a paper towel that's not smooth, it's not slick. This particular brand is really coarse, so I like using it because of that. I've tried other paper towels and they're just, I've had chicks still slip on other brands. People do like to use like puppy pads or whatever. This is just what I use. You can do whatever you want, whatever works for you. So I'm going to go ahead and get the bottom here set up. So I overlap the paper towel strips slightly to keep it connected, and then I'll weight it down with like the waters and the food itself. And you can't see, but my brooder is a little too wide for 2 strips, but there's not enough space. It's a very narrow space. It would be a waste to put a whole another strip, so I just take single pieces and I fill in, tucking underneath my existing layer of paper towels. And then what I like to do, because these are sections, they kind of get loose, I take straw and I'll spread the straw out onto these little sections. Because the pieces of straw will keep it better in position without it like these pieces sliding around, since it's on a long strip. And it's actually nice because the chicks enjoy the straw. I don't put the straw in initially at first. I don't put bedding in here at first because the babies coming right out of the incubator, they're clumsy, their legs are still swollen, so it takes a little bit for their legs to go to as they're going to be naturally, and I don't want anything in their way. I want it to be an open space initially so they can easily find their food and water and just take naps, because that's really what they're going to do. Now after this does get soiled, after the chicks are in here and it gets, starts getting soiled, then I will take bedding, and then I put bedding in, because now they're more agile and they can traverse, bedding, shavings, or straw, whatever is used. And then the babies, the chicks actually like to play in the straw, and they spread it out a little bit, but it's not a hindrance to them. They are very curious of the material, but they can get to their food and water very easily. The other thing that I make sure to do is to wipe down my heat source, make sure it's clean. You want to make sure it's clean and free of debris and dust. I even wipe down the bulb itself, if that's what you're using. Make sure your heat sources are clean. And I actually did that ahead of time, so I'm going to go ahead and finish prepping this. Okay, so I turned my light on. I positioned it to where I want it. And it's just something that you want to watch your chicks and make sure that you want them to be able to mill about in this space pretty evenly. If they're all huddled underneath the light and they stay there, then the light needs to be lower because they're still feeling cold. So it might be too high. If they're everywhere except underneath the light, that means that the light's too low and they're getting too hot. So just raise it up. Initially, when you take chicks out of the incubator is being kept at a steady 99.5 about temperature. So when you bring them out, some people like to regulate the temperature of the brooder. I don't. I just watch the behavior of the chicks. But once you initially set them down, they're going to be adjusting to the temperature change. Because now it's going to be, you know, there's just airflow in here as opposed to in the incubator. And so they'll stay under the light a little bit. And then they'll start moving around as they adjust within, you know, less than an hour. So I got my waters. I fill them up with warm water because I don't want them to get chilled when they go in and start drinking. And I place them in the area where it is heated because I don't want them to get dehydrated. If the water is too far from the heat source, the chicks won't go that far out. They won't venture out beyond if they feel too chilled. So you want the food and water within the region of warmth so the chicks are eating and drinking and not feeling like they can't reach it. So I put these on the seam of my paper towels to hold those down better, and I also put in my straw already. Here's some quail food. I'm putting jumbo quail in here, so I have high protein game bird feed. Just putting some piles around where I know the chicks will be, and this also helps weight down the material, but I want them to be able to find the food easily, nothing in their way. So I'm going to let this space warm up, and before long I'm going to be bringing the chicks in, putting them in here. Usually when I put the chicks in, especially jumbo quail, or quail in general, they like to scatter and run. They're kind of like little ants. They're not slow and bumbly like chicken chicks are. So I like to turn off overhead lights when I do that, when I put them in here, so that the only light source they see is the heat, the light source that's creating heat. And usually that keeps them more in this area versus when there's a lot of light, it lights everything up really bright. It doesn't look terribly bright for you guys, but it's bright enough, and they just kind of scatter. And I don't want them to do that, especially in the beginning. I want them to stay close to the heat source because they're scared. That's really what's happening. They're scared. They're in a new area. They don't know what's going on, and they will feel safe in the warm area. So I like turning off the overhead light initially, so that they know the heat is like the safe area, and then they'll just kind of like hang out there. And then after a couple hours, then I can turn overhead lights on, no problem, and they stay calm and they know their space. So that's prepping my this brooder space. That's what I do. It's a normal thing I do. Yeah, and I hope that was interesting. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to get the chicks. I'm going to add some chicks in here and turn off the light to do that. But before I do that, I just want to say please like and subscribe to our channel, The Dinosaur Omelette, if you like what you're seeing and if you'd like to see more of what we do here. And if you have a comment, please put something down below, even if you know, saying awesome or that was great, or if you have any questions I'd love to answer for you, that'd be great as well. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get some chicks. This is now warmed up and ready. I have some jumbo quail chicks that I took out. I turned off the overhead light because I'm going to add them here, and we'll have better footage for you guys to see in the future, but I took them out of the incubator. I have them in this little basket. What I do is I examine the little chicks each individually before I put them in, but I do it relatively quick, so I'm just gonna keep them down here so that it's not so far for them to go down and I don't drop them by accident. So little jumbo quail chicks. Okay, so I just took out 22 chicks. I'm gonna go and get a lot more out. I'm just gonna watch these guys for a few minutes. So they're just kind of wandering around, they don't know what they're doing. And just kind of make sure to return them here to the middle, because they're just disoriented. But they get their bearings pretty quickly. So I'm going to go get more, and yeah, I hope that was very interesting for you guys. Thanks. Thanks. Bye.